Okay, so picking up where we left off, in the last video, we're able to assemble the sandwich, and then we're able to pick it up. What we can't do yet is hand it to her. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a script to her that checks to see what you're handing to her and determine if it matches what she's looking for. So that means she needs her own script. So let's right click down here, choose create, C#, call it patron or patron, whatever. Drag and drop it. Okay. So now, I already typed out in a text file, so I'm just going to copy and paste a little at a time and explain what's going on. So, first of all, we need to track what she wants. So we'll create a variable, public string ordered meat. In this case, she's looking for a hamburger. Now, as you build this out, what you're going to do is, rather than giving it a fixed value to begin with, you're going to have randomized statements that determine whether she wants a hamburger or a hot dog, she wants ketchup, mustard, whatever. But just to get the basic functionality, we're going to give it a fixed value. Now, what's going to happen is this is what she's looking for. So we need to track what is going to be given to her. So let's go to the gameplay script, and I'm going to add a new static variable. So public static string, we'll call it current meat. So in the gameplay script, we've added a new static variable. Now we need to change that variable. Where are we going to change it? We're going to change it when you start moving the food around, because that is what the current toppings are going to be, is whatever is being moved. So let's go to cook food, because this is also what moves the hamburger around, and we'll probably use it for the hot dog as well. And this here is when the food is being moved around by the mouse. So that's telling you what the current meat is that's being moved around. So mouse will just put it right in there. So if game object dot name, so the name of the object the script is attached to and is being moved around. If its name is, I believe we called it hamburger patty, and since it's instantiated, it's going to be a clone. Let's just check that to be certain. Actually, it's just burger patty. So if the name of the object the script is attached to is burger patty, and it's being moved around because it's in this section, then let's take that new variable, gameplay.currentMeat, and set it to hamburger. So this variable has been set to hamburger. Oops, sorry, I added extra parenthesis there. Sorry about that. Because it is what's being moved around is the hamburger patty. Okay, so in gameplay, we create the static variable. In cook food, we're setting it to basically the equivalence of what's being moved around. In this case, it's the hamburger. And now we're going to go to the new patron and look at. We're now going to compare the two. So they want hamburger. Okay. So what we're going to add is the on mouse over routine. So outside of start, outside of update, void on mouse over, capital O-M-O, because this is a predefined routine. Okay, so if the mouse is over whatever the script is attached to the customer. Okay? So if the mouse is over the customer, a few things are going to be checked. A, is delete food set to yes? If you recall, that's what we did at the end of the last video, is when the mouse is clicked down on the sandwich, specifically the right click, then the sandwich gets, actually, is that the right one? Sorry, it's in move topping. So if gameplay.delete food is set to yes, then we're destroying the game object. Let me double check that though. Right, so in gameplay, if you right click, it's set. That's when you're deleting it. So sorry about that. So yeah, so in gameplay, it's checking for a right click to see if you're deleting or if you're handing the food to someone. So we're going to keep using that variable. Okay, so if it's set to yes, you've right clicked, and the current meat is set to ordered meat. So here we said what the ordered meat for the customer is, and this is not a static variable. So like I said, you can set this to randomize. That way each customer has their own value. So if you've right clicked to delete the food and the current meat is equal to the meat your player wants, then go ahead and we're going to destroy the game object that the script is attached to, which in this case is the customer. So let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to test to see if it works. So we're going to click on the hamburger, the bun. We click on the bun, we point it at her, we right click, she does not disappear because it's not what she wants. Click on the bun, click on the hamburger, put the hamburger in the bun, click on it, and we right click. Now she disappears. So now you have added the functionality for being able to determine whether or not the right object is being handled. Now we're going to build on that, because what's going to happen is it's not going to be yes or no as far as do you delete them or not. The customer is always going to go away, but if you give them the wrong order, they're going to give you less. They'll be like less of a tip. So you could set it up where if it's the wrong order, they just won't accept it, but I think that would make for a much messier game. And also by doing this, what you can do is if you give them the wrong sandwich, depending on how much you build out this game, less customers could show up, so you get less sales, that kind of thing. So I think that'll be about it for this video. So pretty straightforward. We're taking that check of whether or not you've right clicked. We're checking to see what the current toppings are that are being moved around, and then if it's the correct toppings, the new customer object will be destroyed. Actually, before we wrap up, let's do a little housekeeping to clear up and clean up some of these variables, because what we need to do is once you've handed the food to someone, this really needs to be set back to no, and that's really the big one, is the fact that you don't want this to stay as yes. So when you hand it to someone, so let's put it right for the customer. So gameplay.delete food equals no, or else every time you click on something after you've handed a sandwich to someone, it'll start deleting stuff. So now we should be able to do a couple. Let's see if we click on this, click on this, click on this, hand it to her. Now what would happen before is if you clicked, it would delete, and it doesn't. Now it moves to the proper slot. Although that didn't replace. So let's take a look to see what it would take to fix that, because that was working before. So why did that break? So now that I think about it, the problem isn't that we broke it so much as I don't think we were ever clicking on the hamburger once it was placed. So we picked it up, but I don't think we had tested it. last video. So to fix that, basically we just need to add a status. So cook food is what's attached to the hamburger patty. So we simply need to add a status that says, okay, the hamburger has been placed into its bun and do not move it again. So might be just a band-aid. We might have to expand on this, but for now let's do public string. So we're adding a new variable. Public string, let's call it topping status. And what happens is when you click on it, it should be set to placed, so that it's and to not place it again. So this is where it's getting put into in the cook food script, and on mouse down, because you're clicking on the patty, it's looking to see which bun is which cutting board spot has a bun and places it there. So what happened is this is what's going wrong. We're placing it, and then when we click on it to pick it up and move it, instead it moves it over to the next bun. So these have to check for the status. So first what we have to do is when it gets placed, we have to take that new variable topping status. Oops. So topping status equals placed. And we'll just copy, paste. So we're saying that in addition to placing it in that location, we also want the status for the topping to be placed. And the reason for it is now we then say, alright, if it's not equal to placed, then go ahead and proceed. So this kind of functionality is typical, where you will set a variable when a function has been accomplished, and then you put that variable into the if statement so as that you don't keep performing the task over and over again. And we put a little exclamation point in here, which means not. So topping status is not equal to placed. And I think that will do it. And hopefully it didn't break anything else. And then I think that'll be about it for this video. The alignment's getting a little bit messy, so let's clean this up a bit. Make it a little bit easier on the eyes. Okay, so quick summary. We've added a new variable, which is currently just on the hamburger, and it is going to that variable is going to be set to a value when it gets placed. That way it doesn't get moved repeatedly. Because what's happening right now is you have 3 buns, you click on the hamburger, you click on it here, it gets put in the bun. Well, if I try to pick up the bun, it's functioning like as if I'm clicking it here, and so it's moving it to the next hamburger bun and the next hamburger bun. Now it has a new status that's saying, okay, it's placed, don't keep moving it. So let's try it. Okay, so it didn't move it, but it's also not picking it up either. Okay, a brief splice there. I restarted Unity. I didn't make any additional changes, and now suddenly it's working right. So let's go ahead and run this. Click on 2. Click on 1. Works just fine. Let's see if we can think of all the combinations. 2. 2. Works just fine. So I have to say that I guess it was just a glitch. It sounds like a cop-out, but as you can see... Okay, so now that time it didn't work. So question is, why is it still being erratic? Okay, so there. So it looks like if there's still one on the grill, is that the key? Yeah, it's looking like that might be what's going on. No. Even with nothing on the grill. Now in this case, to get around it, there is an overlap issue where I think the root cause is the fact that you've got a single click and you're clicking on multiple items, but it only counts as one click, and so doesn't activate everything that the code is asking it to. That's the only thing I can think of. So let's try something really quick. Let's try having there be less overlap with the bun itself. It's kind of a cop-out, no pun intended, but let's see. So when we click on the bun top itself, actually when we click on the bin, so that's bin control, let's have this, so the top of the bun, let's have it be like -0.2. Because if you click on just the top of the bun, you're fine. So now there's more space. So if you click up here, you're fine. And I think you're always fine like that. So it's a bit of a cop-out. We can always get back to that later. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you put a bandage into place to make it work. So for now, we'll leave it like that, where you just click on the top of the bun. We can maybe give instructions. If we can't find a permanent fix, we can maybe give an instruction that says, okay, click on the bun top itself. So for now, it is working though, so sorry about that. Every once in a while, Unity gets a little bit weird like that, because as you could see, it was working, and then it stopped. So, like I said, I think it's because of how Unity handles a single click on multiple objects. So I'll look a little bit more into it, but we'll wrap up this lesson here because now it is indeed working. I don't think we have any cases where it's not working. Now that we've now that we've moved the bun, so it's easier to click on just the top of the bun. Okay, so that should do it for now then.